This is KGW News at 11.
Thinking about the congresswoman, the judge, and the family, and sending our love their way.
United States Representative Suzanne Bonamici is out of the hospital after she and her husband were hit by a car last night walking across the street. Welcome to KGW News at 11. I'm Blair Best. Our top story tonight, the details of that crash and how the congresswoman is recovering. Alma McCarty has the story.
The communications director for Representative Bonamici said all this happened as the congresswoman and her husband were leaving an event around 8:45 on Friday. Around Northwest 19th and Everett, police say a driver turned into the couple, knocking them down. Following an event hosted by Congregation Beth Israel in Northwest Portland, a driver struck Representative Suzanne Bonamici and her husband, U.S. District Judge Michael Simon, as the couple crossed Everett Street Friday night. Although police say she was driving at a low speed, the impact sent the congresswoman to the hospital. John Cushing was on his way to the bus stop when he came across the scene.
I heard some sort of a disturbance on the other side of 19th. And then I saw a woman lying in the street and a bunch of people clustered around her. And then somebody shouted, "Call 911."
While he was connecting with dispatchers, Cushing said the group diverted traffic away from the crash site.
They kind of knelt around her and they were waving off the cars. And then they waved all the cars forward so that the fire engine could get to where she was lying in the street.
Cushing said first responders got to the intersection within minutes. The congresswoman's team confirmed she was treated for a concussion and laceration on her head, and her husband for minor injuries. Now out of the hospital, Representative Bonamici is expected to make a full recovery. Well wishes continue to pour in.
We just want her to have a very speedy recovery, her husband as well. Congresswoman Bonamici is a fighter, and we just know that, like everything else in her life, she's up to the challenge, and we just want her to get better real quick.
Last month, Portland police reported a 70-year high in pedestrian deaths, at more than 30 people killed in these crashes. PBOT keeps track of the traffic deaths and injuries within the city, but does not have injury data available for the past 2 years. Alma McCarty, KGW News.
The body of a missing woman was found in a river in Seaside today. LaDawn Renee Bloom had been missing since early December. Divers with the Clatsop County Sheriff's Office found Bloom under the water inside her car. Today, a tow truck pulled the car from the water. We don't know yet exactly what happened. The investigation is ongoing. Also new tonight, a whale has washed up on the beach on the North Oregon coast. Officials believe the whale is dead. It was spotted at Fort Stevens State Park this afternoon and is still there. Due to current high tides, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration says they probably won't be able to examine the body of the whale until Monday. The Coast Guard is asking people to stay at least 200 yards away from it. Officials believe it is a sperm whale, but that has not yet been confirmed. Well, today, Oregon's new Governor Tina Kotek and Democratic Senator Ron Wyden teamed up with Solve. The nonprofit's mission is to help clean up Oregon by hosting litter cleanups and by planting trees and shrubs. Well, today, Governor Kotek shared the importance of working with groups like Solve to improve the state.
I think people feel better when they have an opportunity to go out and do things, right? And say, look, I want just to go do something, make the world better. And I think how the community looks is also reflects how people feel about it.
Well, Solve is also hosting a community cleanup event this Monday on Martin Luther King Jr. Day in Portland. If you'd like to help out, Solve will provide everything you need, from trash bags and gloves to litter grabbers and safety vests. Just head to solveoregon.org for more information. Well, meteorologist Joe Ranieri is joining us, and I kind of feel bad for those volunteers. I mean, it was pouring out today.
They're doing, a great, a great opportunity to help out the community, and they're just getting dumped on.
Yeah.
But there was some dry weather at some point earlier today. Late this afternoon into the evening, we basically have been dry since about 5, 6 o'clock tonight. Heading into the overnight hours, yeah, we are going to be seeing return of some wet and windy conditions. Case in point, let's go out to Newport, where you're looking at gusts right now. I just looked about 25 miles per hour. temperatures are relatively mild, looking at temperatures in the upper 40s. And we saw our daytime highs just a couple of hours ago. We topped out in the low 50s earlier this evening. Heading into tomorrow, it will be a little bit cooler, but let's bring in some of the wet conditions that will be arriving really after midnight. This is that low pressure system that's going to be bringing in the rain and the wind. And speaking of the wind, you're going to be seeing gusts later on tonight and into tomorrow afternoon. Really late morning, early part of the afternoon throughout the metro area is when we see the winds really pick up, with gusts anywhere from 25 to 30 miles an hour. Satellite and radar right now, as you can see, we're starting to see some showers move in along the central and southern part of the Willamette Valley, and that is the low that we're going to be bringing in the wind and the rain heading into your Sunday. Right now, we're looking at gusts anywhere from about 30 to 35 miles per hour along the Oregon coast, and yeah, they'll be picking up a little more in strength late tonight and into tomorrow. I'll talk more about that in just a few minutes.
All right, Joe, thanks so much. Well, first responders from Lake Oswego were honored this week after saving a 5-year-old girl's life. The good news, she's doing just fine now. Art Edwards joins us tonight. In Art, the girl's family got the chance to thank those first responders.
Well, they certainly did. You know, the little girl's family is really thrilled to be able to be part of the ceremony to honor those first responders. They say their quick work saved a life. 5-year-old Sloan Young is a healthy, happy little girl. In April this year, she gave her family a big scare. She hadn't been feeling well, but nothing out of the ordinary, according to her mother. Then it all changed.
And all of a sudden, she just passed out, and then she wasn't breathing.
Erica Jarneberg wasn't home at the time. Her ex was with Sloan. He called 911 and started CPR with the help of a dispatcher. By the time first responders arrived from Lake Oswego's South Shore Station, Sloan had a pulse and was breathing. She was awake by the time the ambulance got to the hospital. Cody Grimm led the team from Lake Oswego Fire.
This is a call that I get to live with for the rest of my life that was a positive. And we don't get those very often. And it's a family and a call that I'll remember for the rest of my life. And I'm incredibly grateful for.
On January 11th, Lake Oswego held a ceremony to honor the first responders who worked that day in April. Erica and Sloan were there. Sloan spent time with Cody, got a teddy bear dressed like a firefighter that carries his name. It's the bear she carried on Saturday. Her mom said a simple thank you wasn't enough, so she wrote a message in a card for the first responders.
Talked about Sloan and her life, and so they would understand how important she is to us and why we were so impacted by everything that happened, and grateful for the quick response.
Yeah, firefighters say they estimated it took them less than 2 minutes to be able to respond to that emergency. And as it turns out, all the paid firefighters in Lake Oswego are also paramedics.
Really powerful story there. Thanks, Art. Well, healthcare workers at Kaiser's Sunnyside Medical Center held a picket last night over a staffing crisis. You can see them holding signs here, some reading "better staff, better care," and "honk for safe staffing." The union that represents the workers says they're understaffed and can't care for the community's needs. The union also notes that this issue started before COVID-19.
We are fighting for better staffing. What is happening in that hospital would shock you.
The number one problem we see is that we don't have enough staff to care for our patients in the way that we would like to care for them.
Now workers want Kaiser to increase staffing levels by 15%. The nurses and other staff told Kaiser about the planned picket earlier this month. Meanwhile, Kaiser says it's doing what it can to help workers, pointing to solutions like accelerating the hiring process and hiring temporary staff. Kaiser also says it's working with the state and other healthcare leaders to get more people interested in and trained for these healthcare jobs.